The state of Florida just got even worse for women and people who are able to get pregnant. On Thursday, the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, signed a bill to outlaw abortion in the state after 6 weeks of pregnancy. One of the provisions in that pretty draconian ban says that victims of rape and incest would have to show proof, evidence of their abuse in order to get an abortion in the state. So you're going to show proof. What kind of proof? Medical records, police reports, court-issued restraining orders are, I guess, among the things that they would accept as proof. Now, I don't think I should need to go into detail about how absolutely horrific and dystopian this is. How you literally have to go to a court in order to prove that you need an abortion. It's insane. Making people relive their trauma in order to get what was not too long ago a legal medical procedure in order to save a zygote. Again, it's totally ghoulish. Horrible. Now, if you're a person with a uterus, which includes a woman, cis woman, trans man, or a non-binary person with the capacity to get pregnant, you are at risk. You're all at risk of having predators be emboldened to attack you. Again, why wouldn't they? If you get pregnant from the assault, this bill essentially guarantees that you will be forced to carry that pregnancy. It's hard enough for victims of assaults to, that don't even, that these assaults, if they don't result in a pregnancy, it's hard enough for the victims to come forward as it begins, right? Or as it has been. I don't know. I'm tripping over my words here because of just how horrible this is. But it makes it very hard for people to come forward in these cases. And now you throw a pregnancy in there. I mean, it's even worse. They're essentially put on trial for their assault. Now, there is this argument that, having them have the kid, well, obviously, that's going to help the victims because they can just do the DNA test on the child in order to find the father, find the criminal. But wait, that doesn't make sense. We already have rape kits. You can get the DNA evidence from rape kits. Problem with that, of course, is that what you have here is police stations that have gigantic backlogs of rape kits, as well as a lot of people who are too afraid to report these assaults. So, secondly, there are people out there who will just, say that the victim is, oh, so you're just claiming that you were assaulted or raped or whatever to get out of being a parent. Yeah, you're just lazy. You made a bad decision. You're immoral. You're just ruining a man's life, an innocent man's life, in order to get your abortion. Should have kept your legs closed. Should have taken that aspirin and put it between your knees. Look, I know the kind of rhetoric that they use against women in general. I know that rhetoric. I've seen it. We've all seen this before. And this also, again, punishes people who do not identify as women, but still have the capacity to get pregnant. Anyone with a uterus is affected by this. Transgender people get assaulted at high rates as well. So look, that's the horrifying bill that they've signed into law. Okay, and that's probably going to get challenged by the court. Already, their 15-week abortion ban is being challenged by the court, and so if that gets okayed, well, then it's very likely that this will also be okayed. Now, let's get reaction here. On the same day the abortion ban was signed, Equality Florida had issued a travel ban. I'm sorry, not travel ban, but travel advisory for LGBTQ plus people to avoid the state as a result of the ban. Intersex as well. It's true. It's very true. Don't want to leave them out. So if you visit the state, well, their advice is don't go to Florida. It's basically like, oh, you see this war-torn country? Don't go there. But except war-torn country, it's, oh, you see this? This is just very, authoritarian, tyrannical regime that has massively limited the rights of, women, trans men, non-binary, and intersex people. Don't go there. Oh, what's this country called? Oh, it's not a country. It's Florida. That's what they're doing. It's horrifying. So now in a statement, the White House pushed back. This is White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who condemned the bill, saying this ban will prevent 4 million Florida women of reproductive age from accessing abortion care after 6 weeks, before many women even know that they're pregnant. The ban would also impact the nearly 15 million of women of reproductive age who live in abortion-banning states throughout the South, many of whom have previously relied on travel to Florida as an option to access care. But again, that doesn't even include all the people who are, again, don't identify as women. So there's an additional number of people that are impacted by this. Now, the pro-choice group Narrow Pro-Choice America also described the passage and signing of this bill as, quote, dangerous, plain and simple. The group's president said, quote, it will not only cut off abortion access for Floridians, but also for the countless people who sought care there as extremists in their own states enforce bans. And so, look, we've already seen states put in basically travel bans. So that's what's happening already, and probably will end up being adopted in other in these states, preventing people from going into other states in order to seek reproductive care. Now, interestingly enough, it's not just pro-choice groups and Democratic politicians that have come out. You have at least one conservative billionaire who is saying, whoa. Florida, you're going a little too far. Okay? So let me give you that person here. This is businessman and Republican mega donor Thomas Peterfy. He said that he, along with a bunch of his friends, his billionaire buddies, have decided to put a pause on their support for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and his bid for president. That's following this week's signing into law of this so-called Heartbeat Protection Act, which, by the way, 6 weeks, there isn't even a heart. It hasn't formed. Doesn't exist. Now, the Hungarian-born billionaire told the Financial Times that Ron DeSantis has lost some of his momentum, making him reluctant to commit to the not as yet declared contender for the 2020 primary nomination. So, now, look, I was going to make a joke that it maybe it had to do instead with the pudding fingers. But no, here's what he says. He says, I'm more reluctant to back him. We're waiting to see who among the primary candidates is most likely to be able to win the general and then put all our firepower behind them. Peterfy said his concerns, one of them at least, was his DeSantis' support for socially conservative policies on abortion and education, which the Financial Times described as extreme. Quote, because of his stance on abortion and book banning, myself and a bunch of friends are holding our powder dry. I thought it's keeping our powder dry. Oh, whatever. So look, this guy's a billionaire who has a lot of takes I don't agree with. Obviously a conservative Republican mega donor. But hey, broken clocks. And we've seen the result in a lot of these primary contests that this kind of extreme position is not popular among the American people. yes, the country is pro-choice overall. A lot of these very extreme anti-abortion candidates, anti-choice candidates, got creamed. But hey, Republicans are going to keep pushing forward on this anyway. And then the trans bans, which again are not popular issues. So now, back in 2015, also, Petterfy said that in his support for Ted Cruz, which already is pretty hilarious.
Trump called your wife ugly and you loved it!
Just saying. He said about Ted Cruz that he was probably the smartest person running in the Republican Party. Even though I personally do not believe that abortion is something that should be prohibited, and I do not believe we should not care about the environment. Nevertheless, I think Ted has the qualities, definitely has a shot. Really? Again, okay, hindsight, right? Because it was fun to watch Ted Cruz emasculate himself. And who can forget that very, very fun photo of Trump phone banking? I'm sorry, Cruz phone banking for Trump. But hey, look, nonetheless, inside of that incredibly dumb statement supporting Ted Cruz in 2015, there's a position here that the majority of the people back. And that's being pro-choice. That's a pro-choice position. Hey, I don't think that abortion is something that should be prohibited. I agree. Wonderful. Again, most Americans do. That said, the guy ultimately supported Donald Trump along with Ted Cruz. And I think that if DeSantis wins the primary, assuming that he actually jumps in, yeah, these billionaires are going to open their wallet. Same for, by the way, if Donald Trump wins the primary. At the end of the day, and the reason behind this is the donors may be personally pro-choice, may be socially liberal, right, on these issues, but they're still going to vote for extreme or support and vote for extreme right-wingers for one simple reason. They get tax cuts. That's it. Again, rich people, they're not affected by abortion bans either. Okay? Even if they're deeply unpopular, they're still going to be like, well, personally, I'm pro-choice, but the pro-choice candidates, they're not giving me tax cuts. So I guess I'm going to support the guy that's going to help me. So, and again, since they have money, they can go and fly out if their mistress needs an abortion. And unfortunately, that's the way it ends up being. And so, look, what Ron DeSantis is doing, authoritarian, ghoulish, and pretty terrible. Hopefully people know and vote accordingly.